Hello, hello. It is another Tuesday night with the People's Pride Project, and that means we are here with Couch Conversations. Y'all know how it is. We're authentic, we're autonomous, and we help build the community. So, on that note, tonight I have the Miss Mo Davis, senior mortgage underwriter.
Good
I'm not,
evening.
okay, I'm not even going to get into what that is. She can explain what that is. But I only gave you those words so that you know that she knows what she's doing. So here
Yeah.
we
So
go.
when you apply for the loan, I am the one who says yes or no.
Ooh,
I'm also the one who tells people whether they can say yes or no. And I am also the one who tells the back end people who buy mortgages, right? So, your bank makes a mortgage and then they sell it. I'm also the one on the back end that tells the company that they can buy it or they should not buy
so yes, tonight we are talking to the one we all need to know. See,
Yeah.
everybody else always seems to have an in, but now we got Mo, so we got an
Yeah.
MC. So where do we start? You know the buzzwords right now with people of color in the, you know, financial community. Do we have a financial community?
Oh,
Or
we
we
absolutely do have a financial community.
okay. I'm asking questions. I ask questions for the people.
We definitely do. There's a lot of different organizations. There are a lot of different clubs. There are a lot of people who, we have like the brunches, finance networking brunches and stuff like that. I don't go to any of them, but yeah, definitely in Atlanta, definitely in Houston, definitely in New York, New Jersey. There are different groups, organizations that are network for finance professionals. So yes.
Okay. See,
Beyond LinkedIn, baby. LinkedIn is not going to get you anywhere. You need a network.
I don't even use LinkedIn, so I don't know if I'm ahead of times or behind the times, but I don't use that shit. Um, so the buzzwords right now, generational wealth, buy some land. Half of us don't know what the hell we're going to do with the land, but go buy some. So, how do we navigate that process? How do we even begin that process?
So everything is not for everybody. So the first thing when you think about building wealth, in my opinion, is who are you? What works for you? What's your life situation like? Are you stable? What's your income situation like? So I think figuring out who you are, what you want your future to look like first, because perhaps home ownership is not a path for you because of your lifestyle. Perhaps maybe starting a business and getting into commercial side, maybe getting an office building. So deciding what's right for you, to me, would be your first step, and you have to know who you are in order to do that. Once you say, you want to know what, I want to start buying things. I want to start buying property, residential property. I want to start buying land, and you can figure out, listen, get the land and figure out what you're going to do with it after that. Because most of the time you can get the land kind of cheap, you just pay taxes, maybe a small note on it, and then you kind of figure out things from there. And if you can't figure anything out, you could sell it. So it just really depends on what you want to do. But if you decide that, you definitely need to look at your financials. You need to look at where you are, where you're starting from, and then what you need to do to get to where you want to be. So, in order to start making those moves. So, for instance, I'm real big on milestones. So, I said, hey, I want to buy a big ass house. Like, that just is what it is. I want to buy a big ass house. I want everybody to be able to come here and chill. That's literally was my thought process. I want to have something where my nieces and nephews, my sisters, my brothers can all come. We have enough room for everybody. So I said, okay, where am I to do that? I looked at my credit score and I was like, baby, who has to die?
Where's the
I
inheritance
was
coming?
like, which one of you niggas gotta die in order for me? So I wasn't there, So I needed to get there. So I assessed where I was at. I said, okay, I'm here, and my credit score needs to go up 60 points in order for me to be able to facilitate what I want. So I started working on my credit. Working on my credit. You hear that a lot. So what is that?
Mhm.
Is that paying things off? Maybe. Sometimes. Is that getting things removed? Maybe sometimes. Is that paying things down, like revolving credit, your credit card? Is that paying that down? A lot of times, yes. What you want to do is, if a credit score is your struggle, like a lot of us, right? Because you do have to pick a struggle when you start buying things. So if a credit score is your struggle, then you need to start tricking the credit report. So do you have a lot of collections, right?
Mhm.
Some people say, "Oh, I don't have any credit." And then when I look at their credit reports, they have credits, but they've used it poorly, right? So they have a lot of collections. They don't have any open and active accounts, but they have credit, they have collections. Collections, you don't always need to pay them off. But if you don't have anything else, you have to pay them off because you don't have anything that's making your that is positive on your credit report. So without anything positive, all you have is negative. You need to pay that off, which is a
Okay.
positive thing. That's going to trick your credit score. Oh snap, she paying shit off. She getting ready. She getting ready. Pay it off, and you'll see that your credit score will jump. Get you a prepaid card, or get you a card that, even if it's not prepaid, some of these little self-report things, add
Mhm.
those. If you get somewhere, I don't even care if it's fingerheld, I don't care where it is. Get something that reports to all three credit bureaus and buy $50 worth of something, and then pay it off, minimum payment, $10 at a time. And then now you have 5 months of positive credit. So it's different things that you could do to trick the credit report. So that's what I personally did. That's why I can speak to it. Obviously, I can speak to it professionally, but I want to let people know that that's what I did myself. So that's how I was able to fix my credit and get what I get. So I already had the cash. I already had the income stability, right? Because I'm in the industry. I already had the cash and the income. I just didn't have the credit sufficient to make a large purchase like what I did. So that's one thing about getting prepared for what you want. So sometimes people don't have a job, and some of us who got money, but we don't have a job, right?
Mhm.
So you sometimes have to finesse that. So sometimes that may involve other people or a alternate product. So for instance, maybe people can relate to having a friend, you know, who makes their money, different ways, right? There are banks that will give you a loan based on the deposits in your bank account.
Oh.
Right. Now, this is pricey. Now, your friend should have extra cash anyway, right?
Mhm.
So you can, have they use the bank statements in order to qualify you. Now, if you're not putting your money in the bank, I just don't know what to tell you. But they do have that. You have a small business, and your friend should have a small business anyway, right? Because we always would want to pay taxes on the income, regardless of where the income comes from, right? That's just smart ways of doing things.
Go ahead. I was about to ask a question.
Oh,
No, how, okay, these businesses, because
Mhm.
a lot of us, we say we have businesses and we have lovely hobbies, but we don't know how to keep the paperwork. We don't know how to actually do any of the taxes or anything other than take like cash app payments for whatever we're selling.
Okay.
How do we turn that into something that can be taxes paid on or tracked or things like that?
Okay, so the IRS, and I used to work for the IRS. So throughout this interview, you'll see I've done a lot of things. So I used to work
Fine.
for the IRS. Anything that makes money is employment. It's a job, it's a company, it's a business. Anything that loses money on a regular basis is a hobby, right?
Mhm.
So if you're never reporting any income, it's a hobby. But nonetheless, if you do have a hobby or a business, official or unofficial, what I would recommend is, if you just use Cash App, just go back through your Cash App. It's very easy. I've done it before. Take you a few hours. Go to January, add up everything that is not transfers to you and your friends, right? And that's going to be your income that you report on your taxes. Then what you also need to do is go to your Amazon, because we know that's where you got your products from, right?
We're here to be real, people. We're here to be real.
Right. We know that you got them from Amazon. Or what's the other one where
Alibaba,
Alibaba, or it's a place where they say if you get it from there, you not get what you ordered. I forgot the name of this.
Wish.
Wish, baby. We wish you would send us what we ordered, right? So we know you got your products from Wish. So just go on to the Wish website or go on to your Cash App or your bank account and see how much money you spent buying your products. And those are going to be your expenses. You're also going to write off where you live. I do not care what the IRS rules say. If you're working from home, write off some of where you live. Okay. It is a special line for it. Do you work from home? Do you have a dedicated space? If you use Credit Karma or a Tax Act to file your taxes, it literally walks you through this. If you can read, then you can file your taxes. I do have news for you guys though. If you can read, you can literally file your taxes. You don't even need Tax Act. It is cumbersome, right, to write it down. And if you have a written tax return, you have to mail it to the IRS. If you mail it to the IRS, you're not getting your refund anytime soon. You'll see it in 2024 because they're going to process yours last, right? But yeah, so take your income, take your expenses. If you do use a product like Credit Karma Tax, for your taxes,
Mm-hmm.
it does walk you through. It does give you reminders. Hey, do you have any of this? Hey, do you have any of that? Things that are deductions, things that will lower your tax debt so you could get a refund back. So anything can be a business. If I sell cups like these, and let's just say this year I sold 100 of them, and let's just say crazy, I made $20,000. So maybe I sold more than 100. But let's just say you only made $20,000. Let's just say to buy them cost 15,000. So you only made $5,000 profit, right? Still file it. So pay Uncle Sam his little $4 he's gonna want, right? Off of $5,000. You probably won't have to pay anything. But you pay him what he wants, and then now you can use that for business. Even though the first year you didn't do that well, you only made $5,000 profit. But you never know. Maybe it'll be another toilet paper shortage equivalent to what you sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh my God, I need the cups, I need the cups. Like on TikTok, all I see is the stupid Starbucks cups that you can turn upside down. Those people making real money. It's flooded. That's all I see. Apparently, it's all the rage for coffee drinkers. I'm not one. But you can the next year. You never know. It could be you made 92,000. So now you file your 2020 where you only made 5,000. You file your 2021 where you made 92,000. You can go get you a house. Oh yeah, just like that, because you have 2 years tax returns. Don't matter that first year you didn't do so well. That second year you did almost six figures. That is enough to get you a house. Because now, as income, you're a person who makes almost six figures.
Mm.
Now, it would take a whole nother video for me to tell you what to write off, right? And what not to write off. But just be aware, if you're a self employed hobbyist, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that you can write off that will reduce your taxable income and get you a refund or reduce your tax obligation. However, some of those things may impede you from having the most income you can have in order to get a house. So the biggest thing that people ask me, and I want to say probably it's more of my mortgage loan officers and my mortgage broker friends ask me this, which is, take a look at these returns and tell me how to tell my clients to file amendment so that they can qualify for more of a house with more income. And I do it for them all the time. You take stuff in depreciation, you take depletion, you take basically you move where you're taking your deduction. So for instance, if you're a real estate agent, You know how they take their clients out to eat all the time?
Mm-hmm.
What they do is they write that off. When they write it off, it's called meals and entertainment. Well, if you claim meals and entertainment, that's not what we call an add back. So it is going to reduce the amount of income we qualify you with. However, if you take that same $2,500 and take it as depreciation instead, then we would add that $2,500 into your income. So you have more income that is qualifying income. So I know it's a little probably high level, but it does matter. And for people who are already self employed, regardless of what that self employment is, you can be a stripper for all we care. Um, strippers do get houses. So um, they'll know what I'm talking about because they've run into it when trying to qualify. That would be the first thing they say is, okay, you make money, but you took too many deductions. So I'm telling you how to balance both of those things.
Okay, so first of all, you gave him mad information that I'm sure most
I
of it.
know it's
No,
so
but no,
much.
but no, it's good because a lot of this stuff is not readily available or easily accessible. A lot of this stuff want people. Walmart is always my go-to, example job. But if you're working at Walmart 40, 60 hours a week and you want government stamps or insurance or whatnot, you don't have $1,500 to pay someone to
No,
teach you how to do this stuff for yourself. So the fact that you're even forthcoming with your information, and these tapes can be rewatched and replayed if
yes. Slow
necessary,
it down, pause it, write it.
right? Get some notes, take it, because just having and representation matters.
It
So
does.
having people that look like us and come from where we come from and speak the language that we speak, breaking these things down to digestible chunks, invaluable. So
It
I
really is. And one thing I saw on the internet was a mortgage beginners class, right? This is for
Mhm.
people who want to buy a house and they're entry level, so they don't know, they don't have a lot of money, they need to know how to fix the credit. They need to know what banks are looking for. They need to know their areas of improvement. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I looked at the class, $5,000. Now, I don't know what I could say, but I was ready to slap the shit out of somebody.
Oh, you can say whatever
Okay.
you want because I was thinking it.
Yes, because I'm like, I know you fucking lying. So it's things like that that make me want to say, okay, you don't need to pay $5,000 for that. You can, that money that you would pay for that, that's a down payment. That's closing costs. Like, don't forget, in
Mhm.
this environment that we're in, where it is a seller's market, right? So that means that it's so many buyers for each property. We call that a short supply or a seller's market. So if I have 10 people trying to buy my one house and you want me to pay closing costs, baby girl, I'm not doing it. What you can do is you and your realtor can head on out. But if you're telling me, hey, I'll buy your house for what you're selling it for or more, and I pay my own closing costs, I don't need you to do anything, then you're more attractive to me as a seller.
Mhm.
So I have friends that are like, I'm not even going to buy a house right now because the market is so crazy. People are saying, we don't care about the appraisal, which I think is nuts, by the way. It's called an appraisal contingency. What that means is that when I buy a house from somebody, I'm saying I'm buying it from you for, let's just say, $200,000. I want the value to be $200,000 or more. That's
Mhm.
an appraisal contingency. So that means that someone's going to go out, look at the value of the house, and certify the value of the house for $200,000 if that's what it's worth. And then you move forward with the loan process. Now, sometimes the house is not worth that. So sometimes maybe the house comes back as 180. So people are out here saying, "No, I'll still buy it at 180." And I think that is insane. And what hurts my feelings is that realtors are not advising their clients on this. The realtor is the one who writes up the contract.
Mhm.
Okay, the realtor is supposed to be the one that guides you.
Right.
The
Just
one that says,
especially.
hey, this house is probably worth this or that. They have
Mm-hmm.
that knowledge because they sell houses all day long. So for them to write these contracts without a appraisal contingency or a value contingency is insane and disrespectful. And I think it's a derelict. As you can see, when I start using big words, it means I'm mad. It means they fucked up. You ever had somebody fuck you over?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what that is. Because we're already in a market where homes are rightfully overpriced, right? So because of the demand, the price is higher. You know how Fat Joe say yesterday's price, not today's
Mm-hmm.
price? Yesterday's price don't beat today's price. But guess what? Mortgage is a bubble. It's literally a bubble. Take a piece of gum, chew it up, blow, 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 blow. Keep on blowing. What's going to happen? It's going to pop.
Mm-hmm.
And that pop is not always a bad thing. It's an adjustment. It's a writing. You know what I'm saying? It's a correction. So it's saying, hey, things was a little, we got a little out of hand. We got a little out of here. And it's saying, let's bring it on back. Right. So then you end up having more houses than you have buyers.
Right.
Okay. And then that is also a lull. It's something that is not even. When you have enough buyers and enough houses, that's that's stable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens, you're going to lose money because you overpaid.
Right.
The value was not there and you didn't care because you wanted the house. So guess what? Let's just say I want to refi my house. I just bought a house last year. So if I want to refi my house right now, I can. Because I negotiated my shit. I'm not overpaying for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you did not negotiate. You bought a house that was worth less than what you paid for it. So when you go to refinance, baby, who gonna refinance you? Nobody. Nobody. Okay? Because your house is not worth what you paid for it.
Right.
So now you either got to pay it down, or you got to wait it out. Now think about all of the things. Now let's just say your boyfriend you got the loan, but your boyfriend in
Got
his
the money.
business pays the note,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then the people came and got him. Now, had you done it smartly, you get you a home equity line of credit, okay, and use the home equity line of credit to pay your mortgage, and then all you have to pay is the minimum payment on the home equity line of credit for a year until he come back, and he can resume. I mean, he could turn his life around too, but we're not gonna talk about that. He can resume paying the mortgage. But if you
Mm-hmm.
buy a house for more than what it is, who's going to give you a equity line of credit? There's no equity.
In your house. Yeah.
Now, let's just say anything happened. Your kid is going to school. That's why you want to buy a house or whatever. Your kid's going to school, and then all of a sudden stuff happens. COVID this, COVID that. Now, in order for them to go to school, you got to pay $12,000. Now, keep in mind you have $12,000 in your bank account. Lucky you. But if you give the $12,000, now you have $0 in your bank account, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you had a home equity line of credit, you can give the $12,000, right? And then just pay small payments on it until it's paid off, and keep your $12,000 in your bank account of your own that you already had. So you won't be poor, So
Right.
a house gives you freedom, but only when you have equity in it, only when you own it. I hear a lot of people in the hood, newly rich people, hood rich people,
Mm.
who say, "Oh, I got a house, I
That
got this, I
people.
got a house, I got that." And I'll talk to them about different things that have little questions for me. And they're like, "But I got this asset, and my house is worth $500,000. Oh, okay, cool. How much do you owe on it?" $499,000. You do not have an asset, baby.
You have a liability.
You got a liability. You got a bill. The only way, if you sell the house right now, you getting $1,000. No, 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 no,
And
no.
that's what you just said is so important because a lot of us don't recognize that. Like we're playing catch up generationally. So the big buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. And the idea of what that really means, half of us don't know and haven't been exposed to in the first place. And we just follow on whoever says sign the papers, you
That's
know?
why I say, what is for you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about it. You have no kids. You travel for work. You know, you're also a free spirit. Maybe you want to be in LA for 6 months. Maybe you want to go live in Abu Dhabi for, a year and a half. Then you want to come back and be in Florida and Miami. You know, you're buying a house for what? If you want to have it as an investment property, okay, what kind of tenants are you having in it? Do you have needy tenants?
Mm.
I had a tenant who called me because the light in the carport went out. Honey, my home is in Chesterfield, Virginia, and I am in North Carolina. Did you think that I was going to drive 5 hours to change a light bulb? I need you to go ahead and get off my phone. But you have tenants like that. A
Mm-hmm.
friend of mine had a tenant that it was a tornado, and she called him like, "Come help me." He was like, "Who do you think I am?" Like, I mean, he wanted to help her, but it's a
Right.
tornado. Like, what do you want? So think about your lifestyle. You know, something like a home is high maintenance. So I know that I rented my house out to another tenant, and she was in there. This is not funny, but she was in there for like 2 months, and the front yard exploded with
Like,
a water main.
oh,
Yes, on my side, of course, on my side of the meter, right? Anything that's on your side of the meter, you're responsible. Anything on the city side of the meter, they're responsible for. So of course, it blows up on my side of the meter. And guess what? I had to pay that, and I had to pay it now. It's not something where you can, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna make a no. You have to pay that right now. It came up through the ground like an explosion, bricks and all. Water don't care.
that's
So
so.
you have to pay that. And if it's $6,000, I hope you got it. I hope you have credits if you don't have the cash. So home ownership is something for you to think about if it's for you. It's so many ways to make money. It doesn't have to be with a home, but if you have the resources, if you have the support system too, you
Mm.
know, um, it can be really fulfilling and it can be really lucrative.
I could see that. Because even for you to be able to, I know you just purchased another home, but business savvy says hold on to the first one and turn it into something. Just because I want bigger and better for myself does not mean I have to release what I've already acquired.
No, if you can manage it, keep all your properties. If you can manage it, if you get really good tenants, or
Hmm.
if you can pay a management company who will manage your tenants for you, that would be really good. Now they take a piece of the pie, but sometimes it's really not that much. Sometimes they take $100 of every payment.
Oh,
If your rent is $1,300, you getting 12. Like, but they also handle all the stuff. So if you need to evict her, that's all included in $100 they take out every month.
that's well worth it.
Yeah, so it's really, really not bad at all. So I mean, it's not to deter people. It's just to let you know what's real. I've had
Hmm.
some people say, I really would have waited until I got married before I bought a house. I don't feel that way. I bought my house when I was 23. Barely had a boyfriend. I did fine. you know. So
Do you find that that makes a
I'm like,
difference?
what marriage got to do with it?
I'm saying, do you find that that makes a difference with regard to being qualified or found to be qualified, or you know?
You can be qualified on your own. People do it every day, dime a dozen. So you don't think that you need to have a partner, okay? But at the same time, out of the same side of my mouth, if I borrow $500 from you and I tell you that me or my mother is going to pay you back, do you feel more comfortable than if I borrow $500 from you and it's just me? See, for me, I want two people, because if you don't give me my money, I'm gonna beat your ass and beat your mama ass.
You ain't out here beating people, mama.
You see what I'm saying? So that's the
Right.
way we. I'm just putting it in the terms. That's the way we
Mhm.
look at things. That is what we call a compensating factor. So instead, if you don't pay me my money, just you, I could collect from somebody else. I have
Right.
two people. That is lowering the risk by adding an additional person. So, but that person can't be. I'm
Your
trying to
drug
say
dealer
it like
boyfriend can't.
that person can't be broke as fuck too. You know what I'm saying? So that person has to add something to the file. So I had when I was a processor many moons ago, decades ago, I had someone say, "Well, I'm going to add my dad to the loan." And so I was like, "Okay, submit all this stuff. We'll get the loan officer to pull his credit and see." The dad worse than her. I was like, "Sis, okay, so you're not allowed to say no, you can't put them on the loan. If they want to submit it like that, you have to let them submit it." And I'm like, this man has less money than you. He has no assets, and his credit is worse than yours. So now we have to um, change which guidelines, because he has a lower level of credit. So each level of credit has different guidelines. So for instance, the guidelines for someone who has a 660 is not the same as someone who has a 780. So a person who has 780 can do more things. They can get a higher loan to value. So that means that they can go to 80 something percent, 90% loan to value, and maybe they don't have to show 6 months reserves. Maybe they only have to show 2 months reserves. So it's different parameters, it's different gates or different levels for people with credit report with a different credit score. So
So since we talking about credit scores, what numbers should we, should we be working with?
okay, should or can? Because I feel like this. Sometimes can get it done. Should is great, but sometimes can get it done. So if you're going government,
Mm-hmm.
you can get by at most places with the 600. Now, I have to tell you, this is pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now after COVID, you really do need like a 640, a 650.
Really?
Yes. Now you will have to, what happens is that the government says you have to have a 580. So if you're going with a FHA, which is a government
Mm-hmm.
loan, if you're doing a VA, which is, if you're a veteran, or a USDA, which is rural, if you live somewhere rural, then 580 is their base. But you have to go through a bank, and the bank may not go as low as 580. Most of the time, banks would go 600. You need a 600 or better, which
Mm-hmm.
is great. However, because of COVID, they tighten stuff up, right? Tighten means they don't want their gatekeeping. They don't want everybody to get a loan. So then they say, you want to know what? You need to have a 650 or a 660, even though it wasn't like that before. That is the bank. That is not the program. So let's just say I tell you right now you need a 650. You go to your local credit union and they approve you at 685. I mean at 585. You're gonna be like, Mo lied. No, I didn't. No, I didn't lie. You can find you a bank that will, most likely it will be a credit union though. You
Mm-hmm.
can find banks that will go strictly by the guidelines. That means if the program only requires 580, they only require 580. But if you're going to Bank of America, no, beloved, no, they want to see a 660. So that's the can. Should, if you can get If you can get a 640, 650, it opens up doors. If you have a 660, 680, you can pretty much go anywhere. If you have a 700, 720, you can do whatever you want. If you have a 740, now we're talking good money. You have a
Mm-hmm.
740, you're prime. You have the low interest rate. They're not adding any points because of your risk. So that's pretty much the way it goes. If you have a 800, you're just wasting everybody's time. Like, just go ahead and pay cash. We know you got it.
Hey, some are fortunate. Like, you can't knock a hustle.
Right.
Um, I think we touched on this a little bit, but we're living in a hustle gig moment. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
I won't even say a moment, but what has been our norm typically, because we come
Right.
from kitchen economies, we come from I got 15 jobs but no paperwork, and everything's cash on hand, backdoor, handshakes and shit.
That's why we always survive.
Absolutely, and that's why I can't be mad that the rest of the world is catching up, or at least the rest of the Western world is now catching up.
Hmm.
However, okay, when we were talking on the phone and you started talking about you might need a drug dealer boyfriend, first of all,
You really do most of the time, but we won't.
no, we're about to go all into that because first of all, that's going to be the title of your book, your speaking tour, and everything else. Because I fell out, and then I was like, you know what?
It's so true.
It's so real.
Yes,
And
because you need that cash.
listen, we want to act like that's not part of our culture. We always want to be like we're beyond that, we're better than that, we're striving, and we are. But sometimes we're still dealing with the
Both
regular.
sides of the coin.
Yes, and it has value.
It does.
And apparently, there's a way to make that value appear on paper in some way.
It is. This is the rules. When you look historically, how people are convicted, people who are already slick, right? We're not talking about dumb criminals who throw a brick through the convenience store, like you going to jail, buddy. But people who are already pretty savvy, people who are already making a good amount of money, they've been doing it for a while without getting caught. These are the people that I'm talking about. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about a person who, if we want to say net worth, will be six figures because of what they do and how they do it. So it's an already savvy person. How those people get caught is that they do not pay income taxes. So if you don't pay income taxes, Uncle Sam can look at what you have and say, how do you have it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you're not reporting any income to us. So that's already a red flag. And I think that people don't realize that that is what happens 9 times out of 10 is that there is an IRS involvement on your income. So if
Mm-hmm.
you drive a Bentley and you have 4 houses, of course, none of this crap is in your name, but you have 4 houses and you're on title to all this stuff, the question becomes, how did you get it?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't answer how you get it, then you can answer, your cell number because you're going to go to jail. That's the biggest thing. Besides someone catching you slipping, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
know that's probably the biggest thing. But the second biggest thing is going to be, how did you obtain this money? The the best advice I could give someone is, regardless of how you make your money, pay taxes on it.
Okay.
Period. Now, are you going to put drug dealer on your 1040s? No, you're not, right? Don't be don't be crazy. You're not. And I hate to be on the show talking about money laundering, which is exactly what it is.
Listen,
But
we don't have we're not the first and only culture that has perfected money laundering.
oh, at all, they invented it. All we're
Civilizations
doing
have
is
been built on money laundering.
right. That's where we're playing catch up. But that is what you do. Any income you have, you're a U.S. citizen. Any income you have, regardless of how you obtained it, you have an obligation to pay taxes on it. That is not a bad thing. So even if you have something legit, you don't pay taxes on it. You can't use it legitimately for much. I don't want to say for anything, but for much. If you want to rent, okay, fine. But if you want to obtain wealth, you need to pay Uncle Sam, and that is whether what you're doing is legal or what we'll call otherwise, right? Now, the way you do that is What do you do? I'm a builder. You think the IRS is watching you build stuff? No, they are not. Not unless somebody already told on you. If somebody already told on you, that goes under the we caught you slipping, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not watching what you do. They don't have you're not being surveilled. If you are being surveilled, again, it's already too late, right? So whatever it is, maybe you're a baker, maybe you sell clothes, maybe you sell sneakers. Whatever it is that you sell, go ahead at the end of the year, like everybody else, get in a rat race and put it on your taxes and pay taxes on that. That is, of course, organized crime. We won't talk about it. But anyway, that is the way that it's done. Once you now are paying taxes, you really do have a provable income and you can start to do things. It opens up the world for you. I know so many people who do other things and they're still living a lifestyle that is not commensurate to what they're earning. So
Right.
you still living in a $260 a month rental garage apartment and you make $150,000 a year. But you have not learned how to integrate your money into the
Mm-hmm.
banking system. You have not learned how to pay taxes on your money. So you don't have any way of showing where this money came from. And if you can't show where the money came from, then you can't use it. So that's the biggest thing. Now, I hate to be one of these people, but if you have other income, you need to get you a girlfriend or a boyfriend who is very stable. I had a friend of mine who needed to um, give me some cash to put into the bank, right? Well, you can give me $8,000 to put in the bank, and it's not going to trigger any reports because I'm stable. I have money, and I have money coming from different places in addition to my paycheck. So an $8,000 deposit is not going to raise any flags for me.
Right.
Now, if I worked at Best Buy, which is a perfectly good company to work for, um, that is going to be different. If that $8,000, most likely, if you talk about like a cashier or somebody,
Mm-hmm.
that is going to raise red flags. This is not a
Right.
typical deposit for her or him. So that's something you need to keep in mind who your partner is. But on the other side of the coin is it's something to keep in mind who your partner is when you're regular self-employed. You remember when the girl said she only date entrepreneurs? If you got a 9 to 5, you can't date her. She's a comedian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was so silly. Honey, learn life. She's young. So it's like, listen, you're in a risky business,
Right.
right? You want your partner to be also in a risky business.
True.
So, for instance, real estate agents, they always are married. They always marry each other, right? And then when the market turns, don't nobody have no money. Nothing. Your husband is broke. You are broke. Because y'all together as a couple have not mitigated any risk. The only thing that they could do is save, 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 save,
Right.
save. Because when one is laid off, the other one's going to be low. When one is dry, the other one's going to be dry too.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you plan things, if you say, this is the line of business I'm in, whether it's other business or just normal self employment, and then maybe I have a significant other that is very stable in her business, even if she is an entrepreneur, let's just say she does something that is a staple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that is always going to be needed. It's always going to go well. Not something like real estate, which is cyclical. It's not a
Right.
staple, it's cyclical. So you want to try to mitigate risk as a couple. If you cannot mitigate risk, like if it's like, I can't help who I love, if you can't mitigate risk, then you need to be a really good saver.
Hmm.
But yeah, pay taxes on your money, folks. Period.
That's, I mean, it seems, I'm trying to put the pieces together in my head right now because it seems almost counterintuitive. Like,
Hmm.
yo, I could, be arrested for this. So why would I? it's not all the way on the up and up. Why would I create a paper trail, or why would I? But yeah, you need some sort of proof, whether the proof is covering a lot. Like,
The
yeah,
proof is covering a lie, but no, you said it correct, because the thing is, how else can you explain what you do? If you notice that when you bring cousin into the house and you say, "Hey, what you do again? I can't remember," and he say construction, he say construction for a reason, because he can't say drug dealer, right? He
it's
can't say
true.
that. So he says construction. Do the same thing on paper, because you, when they ask you where you got the money from, you can't say drug dealer. So you need to say something else. Say it on paper. And if it helps, if it's partially true, right? So be smart about how you're doing things. If you're going to be hood the right way. So
Right.
do it to where you're covered, and that'll be really helpful. That'll be really helpful for you, as far as opening up things to you, what you can do and what you can't do. Because ever since 9/11, everything is a paper trail.
Yes.
We're looking for the paper trail, and if we don't see a paper trail, then we cannot help you. Remember back in the day when strippers did not file taxes? Oh baby, they
Mhm.
file taxes now. Big Titties LLC, I've seen it 1,000 times. Don't play with me. Backyard Yams LLC, don't play.
Yo, I can't.
Yes, because they got smart. I'm a stripper, and let's just say I make $170,000, $180,000, $210,000. You mean to tell me I got all this money and I can't do anything with it? Why? Because
Right.
you're not paying taxes, baby girl. So now they all file taxes, all of them. If they making big money, they file taxes. Now, do they put the accurate stuff on their taxes? Well, now, because they know now. But back in
Mhm.
the day, you see a little bit of money and they're like, "Oh, she really makes this. She's a stripper. You can Google her. She's Googleable." That type of stuff. And we're like, no, it's a no for us. So now strippers know, male and female. Now they know you got to file tax, get a business name, get an LLC, and file your stripper coins.
So your trash bag of singles ain't gonna get you nowhere. Like,
Oh no. No, but what you could do is what is called a straw buyer, which is, you get with somebody who got a job,
mhm.
let them get the loan in their name, put you on title. That's one thing I want to mention in this live, ladies, and I want ladies especially to know this. You don't have to be on the loan. You do
Yeah,
not have to be on the loan to own the property. Please tell a friend.
that's important, y'all. That's big.
Just go on title. You still show up to closing like everybody else. Sign your name. Good morning. Sign your name. You do not have to be on the loan. So if he has great credit, if he has a great job, and when they tried to, submit with you, it was a little less enticing to the lender, don't even go on the loan. And the good news is, if y'all break up or if y'all get a divorce, you still own the property and he's on the mortgage, not you. Now listen, when we come in foreclose, everybody getting kicked out. It don't matter who.
Right.
But at the same time, if you break up, y'all get a divorce, and y'all have equity in the home, even though you're not on the loan, you're still an owner. So he can't do nothing without you, sis. So he can go ahead and be with Big Butt Veronica if he wants to. He can't do nothing with that house without you.
Hmm.
Period. He would have to pay you off.
I would just like to remind you all that you can catch the replay of this couch conversation on the YouTube channel and in the Facebook group. I suggest you get you a glass of something nice, possibly a little smoke, and a notepad.
I just want the ladies to know, because they always want to go on the loan so bad. Why? Why? You don't need to go on that loan. If you're not a benefit to him
Mm-hmm.
on the loan, don't worry about it. Just go on title. That's all you need to know. Just go on title. So when they say, "Oh, they said they had to take you off," and you say, "Oh, okay, am I still going to go on title?" They're gonna be like, "What?" Because don't forget, men will be slick and
Right.
be try to get a house without you and not tell you that you're not on it. So if you don't sign anything, you're not on it. You're not owning the house. You would have to have signed something
Mm.
and read what you sign,
Yeah.
because they be signing something that says he's a married man, but it's his sole and separate property. And we don't want that. No, this is ours. It's a ussy. My home too. So
Hmm.
check that paperwork.
I love when couch conversations leave me speechless. No, I'm so serious because it's fun to do all the keying and the back and forth. And but when there's moments when my brain is on fire and I'm like, yo, this shit is important. I'm not even gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just let her talk. Like this is making mad sense. Why did I not know this already? I thought
Yeah.
I did, but I don't know shit. Seriously. These
Yes.
are gems and jewels being dropped here, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That part, especially for women, I always tell them, because it's always little slick things, and or it's sometimes it's an insecurity where
Mm-hmm.
it's like you have a good man, he wants to buy you a home, and you feel that you need to be obligated on that home for it to be yours.
Right.
But if you knew how things worked, you would know that not only it doesn't even have to be a marital property state. It doesn't even have to be that. It could be another state. But when you sign the mortgage, not the note, how people say have a car note, that means that
Mm-hmm.
that's the loan for the car. So you have a note, you have a mortgage note as well. That is just saying, I promise to pay. You do not need to be on that. You don't need to make no promises to pay. Okay. You need to be on the mortgage. The mortgage is who owns the house. So on the title, it's who owns. Are you going on title? Yes, beloved, you are. That's going to be who owns that house. Another thing is that I hear a lot. Um, I don't own the property, the bank owns it.
Mm.
No. The bank owning your property means that you've been foreclosed on and you are now homeless or staying with family or friends.
Mm.
That's what it means when the bank owns your property. The bank, when you get a loan, the bank puts a lien on title. So you own the property, it is yours. If I go to your house and I slip and fall and break my leg, I'm not suing the bank, I'm suing you, beloved, because it's your house and you own it. Okay. So you go, don't be looking at the bank. You the one that ain't sweep in front of your house. Okay. So when you get a loan, you buy the house, you own that house, and the bank is putting a lien on title. So they're in first lien position. So that means if that home is to be liquidated or transferred, they need to be paid off first.
Mm.
So yes, you're obligated, but the home is yours. You do own it. So I like to clarify that because I hear that a lot. Oh, you
Yeah.
don't. I don't own this house. The bank own it. Well, if the bank owned it, you wouldn't be sitting in it.
True.
It would be being sold. It's a bank owned property. That's called a foreclosure.
Now, piggybacking off what you just said,
Hmm.
I hear a lot that not just that the bank owns the home, but there's a difference between owning the land that your home is on and words. Come on, owning the home itself.
Okay, so that really doesn't exist anymore, right? So there's something called, we getting real technical. I know I'm gonna lose some of y'all. Something called a leasehold. So
Mhm.
that means that when someone said, let's just say I live in Maryland or a place like that, because Maryland has leaseholds. A few other places do. I think Jersey might have some leaseholds. I'm not sure. But what that means is that I own this property. I built a house on it probably 100 or 200 years ago. And then when I went to go sell, I said, you know what? I'm going to sell you the house, but not the land. You can lease the land from me. You buy the house, you
Mhm.
lease the land from me. So that means you will be paying rent on the land. How that's done is a lump sum, and the lease is typically for 100 years.
Damn.
So if you would like to get a loan on that type of situation where you do not own the land, but you own the house and you would like to refinance, or you would like to purchase, someone who else, because this goes on and on and on and on forever,
Mhm.
right? So you want to buy a house at 555 Main Street. The person who is selling 555 Main Street can only sell you the house and not the land because they do not own the land. So in order to get a bank loan for that, you would have to produce a leasehold agreement that shows that you got 99 years left on this lease. Yes, because otherwise you can go to hell. We're not doing it. You can go all the way to hell. We're not doing it. So that is that situation.
Okay. Because there's a lot of misinformation, as per usual, a lot of confusion. And we not just in the vein of keeping things simple, we water things down so much that by the time we actually get around to it, most of us have no idea what the hell we're actually doing. We're just signing papers.
Don't sign nothing. You don't know what's going on. Please, I beg of you. And they will
Yes.
do it to you. You want to know where they have you sign papers? You don't know what's going on. Biggest thing. This is for people who have a house already. COVID came and people couldn't pay their mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
and you have loss mitigation. That's what they send you to renegotiate. Because don't
Mm-hmm.
forget, a mortgage, getting a loan with the bank is a contract, and if you cannot honor the contract, they give you opportunity to modify or renegotiate that contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, you go to a department called loss mit, which is short for loss mitigation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So please listen to the name of the department, loss mitigation. They're not trying to mitigate your loss, they're trying to mitigate their loss. So when you do that, you be careful and read, because sometimes they'll tell you you don't have to make your payment for 5 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do a great job at explaining to you on the 6th month, you have to pay 5 months worth of mortgage. You will not just pick up to where you
Right.
left off at. You need to pay the back. You need to pay attention to the words that are used. A moratorium, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is when you do not have to make the payment and you do not have to pay it back. So unless you hear the word moratorium, then understand that you will be asked to pay it back. Another thing is knowing what's available to you. If you get a loss mitigation option where they say, okay, you don't have to pay for 5 months. On the 6th month, you have to pay it back. On the 6th month, you need to ask for a modification. So
Okay.
that way you don't have to pay it all back at once. You can either pay it back as a balloon note. That means at the
Mm-hmm.
end, 30 years from now, you will have to pay all of that back plus interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you could have it, yeah, that's 5 payments broken up and added to your loan. So they will take that 5 payments plus whatever fees, and then they will divide it by 30, or I should say divide it by 360, and then add that to your payment, to your monthly payment. So you will be paying it back every single month. So your payment is going to go up.
Right.
So those are some things, especially with COVID, especially with now these moratoriums coming to an end, you
Mm-hmm.
need to know what's available to you.
Do you find a difference between mortgages for residential areas or residential purchases versus commercial properties? Because I think I saw that Lil Miss has her own commercial property already.
She does have her own. I bought a parcel of land, which is a farm, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not just a land; it's a farm, and so she does own that, and I own it as well. But I put her on it as well, and so yeah, it is a difference. It was so easy buying. It was so easy buying that property. It was so easy getting qualified. It is for agricultural use, and that is something that you would have to prove if it wasn't being used for that already.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, we just got an agricultural loan. It was very easy, very low interest rate, spread it out over 12 years. So it's a very short term loan. So I don't have to wait till I'm 100 for her to be able to, do it. And I pay it for her, but it's on her credit, and so it's definitely increasing her credit score. So it's a good thing that I was able to do for her, something that's going to make money for her, something that is of tangible value for her. In addition to this house, obviously she would get that as well. But yeah, it was much easier getting a agri loan is what it's called. It was much easier getting that. The credit score requirements are not insane. Um, it is a government backed, so you can't have like 8 felonies or anything like that.
Just two.
And they do people with felonies so bad. It's really hard to get government based things when you have had a felony. So if you're able to get any of your felonies expunged from your records, I would really recommend taking the time. I know it's an arduous task. I know it's hard. I know it's not press a button, click, click, click. But if you could get it done, please do.
So I think we spoke about this briefly prior to, um, for the people that are looking to purchase, we're all trying to purchase farms and live off grid and start our own
It's
communities.
a great idea.
I feel like there was a but.
No, I'm a hundred.
Okay.
I'm 100% with it. I got one,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
it's
Um,
called homesteading.
yes. And
Hmm
you spoke about finding a farm that was already not necessarily up and running, but already
hmm
recognized as a farm versus just trying to find some land.
So I'm gonna tell you the tips. The best thing that you could do is to go find some land. When you're going out looking for land, look, call, find out how it's zoned. If it's zoned as a home site, not homestead, but home site, you can buy it as a farm, but most of the time you will not be able to have livestock, right? Or it may be a limit on the livestock that you can have depending on your state. So that's one big thing you want to look for. There's also a huge, huge, huge price difference between something that is a home site and a parcel, a non-zone or as a hunting zone or whatever kind of zoning it is, parcel of land. So if you want a home site that's 10 acres, I hope and pray that you have $200,000, $300,000 for it,
Oh wow.
right? Depending on your state.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get something that is not zoned or zoned for hunting or zoned for agriculture, you could get that same 10 acres of land for, 60, 70, $80,000. Is a huge price difference. Because if you want to buy, 5 acres of land and build a home on it as a home site, there's a marketing difference in that. So think
Mm-hmm.
about the houses that you're looking for on Zillow. They do not have an acre of land.
Right.
They got a third, half,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe a little over a half. So it's a big price difference. Another thing is get an agriculture loan. Do not go to Bank of America, guys. Do not go to SunTrust for this loan. Google farm loan and look and say farm loan New Jersey, okay, and see what banks come up with that. Like they have Ag Self or Farm Credit, or it's different. It's a different type of bank than that. So don't go to a normal bank. You might as well just get you a personal loan if that's the case, because they don't really specialize in that. There may be some land tests that you have to do where they go and test the soil and make sure that you can grow something on there, even at all. So it varies by state, so I can't really speak to every single state, but different states have different requirements. But yeah, definitely Google farm loan and then plus your state when you're thinking about getting financing. Oh, big thing. Go to somebody old. Who owns land. Somebody old who owns land, doesn't have any children, then you can offer to buy it from it. And oh, big thing. Look also perhaps for seller finance. Read and negotiate the contract. Okay, so for this land, what I ended up doing was I negotiated a seller financed option. I decided not to with that option because I felt like if something happened to me, it'd be too difficult for a day or two manage. I went to a bank. I went to a farm bank.
Mm-hmm.
But see, if you don't have that option, see if they'll do a seller finance. Write that up, terms favorable to you but fair, and sometimes they'll have a look at it.
Jules. I'm like, so is there a Zillow for farmland?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. It's Zillow.
for real?
Yes, just put lot land. Okay, so if you do Zillow,
Hmm.
go into the part where it's settings and then just click lot land, right? Lot and or lands. I have to warn you, a lot of those are going to be subdivided subdivisions, right?
Hmm.
It's going to be subdivided or a home site. But there are other sites that give you farmlands, and I can send you a link of a few that I was searching for because I was looking specifically for farmland. So I'll send you a link of a few that I use, and I think they may be state specific, but I'll mess around and find that. But yeah, it's a Zillow for that, or use Zillow. I have found that Zillow is really for home sites, but you might find a few gems because I did, but the pricing wasn't right for me. I don't know
Okay.
if you noticed, but I'm very tight with my money. So I do not like overpaying for anything. And the only time that I overpay for something is if it's black owned or if it's black woman owned. I don't mind paying
Hmm.
more than what maybe I was willing to pay, not like severely overpaying. But if the difference is $10 and then I can go with one of my sisters for $13 or $14, I don't mind.
Right. Right. Have to circulate it within the community.
Oh, absolutely.
And that, to go full circle, is why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing. And like I said, Mo, this has been an information session. This has not just been a couch conversation. This has been a full blown information session. And I thank you so much.
No problem. If anybody has any questions or anything specific that they want to know, just keep in mind that I do not sell anything. I'll help you with your tax returns. Do I do taxes for a fee? No, I do not. Anytime I do someone's taxes, I do it for free. And what I do is I help you do your taxes. So keep in mind, I'm not sales. So anything I'm telling you is my experience, my skill set, my expertise. And if I don't know something, I will tell you that I'm not familiar with it. And I'll probably point you in the right direction. But any questions about the home buying process, about credit process, about, taxes or anything, keep in mind that I have my series 6 and my series 7 license. So that's for secure products. I'm not as well versed in that because I haven't done it in a while, but I really do have a great big picture, of how things work and what you need to do to be positioned the way you would like for what you want to do.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why we fight so hard for community, for shared experiences, for sharing of knowledge, because we spend so much time feeling like we're fighting against the other when we're not recognizing the jewels that we have within our own communities. Representation is necessary, sharing is necessary.
Share
Like,
must.
absolute must. And it's not selfish to say that we want to work within our community. It's not selfish to say we're not blocking anybody, but let our community get first dibs. At least give it a chance. Because that's the only way we're going to sustain ourselves. That's the only way we're going to grow. That's the only way we're going to stop feeling like we're playing catch up when we built this joint in the first place. So, again, I am grateful for this evening. No, I'm dead ass. Like, every so
Thank you
often I
so
get
much for
one more
having me.
girl. I will be having you back. I will be listen, we gonna talk.
Yeah.
But reach out, y'all. You have questions. Her Instagram is on the screen. We're here for each other. We're here to help. We're here to network. We're here to grow. It's authenticity, autonomy, and community. And that's what we're doing with the People's Pride Project. So, Mo, I love you. I only hold folks hostage for an hour if I can hold you. So, thank you so much.
Anytime, anytime.
We'll be back next week, y'all. I got something interesting for you next week. I don't know how everybody gonna feel, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. Bringing it in. But this has been Couch Conversations with the People's Pride Project, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.